This is the Codemaster here, again for another episode of Nolimits 2, yay! Yes, I am just pumping these out because I really enjoy doing these, and so do you. So last time we learned how to add trees and TerraPaint, and a lot of you actually were requesting an invert. So I thought, why not go ahead and build an invert? So let's create a new coaster, let's call it Invert Example. Capitalize it. Look at that. Invert example. Woohoo! Now let's create, do the same thing as we've been doing for the previous tracks. Like start vertex. Just make the station about there. There. Now, with inverts, you usually want the station to be slightly higher off the ground, as it's an inverted coaster. So I'm going to make my station about that tall. And let's just set the coaster type to invert. But I'm not going to do a B&M or SLC, I'm actually going to do the Immelmann inverted coaster. Let me just see if I can find it. No. Inverted impulse, here we go. I'm going to set it to new. Set it to striped rail. There we go. So the reason I'm doing this coaster style is because I thought we could do one of each type of coaster. Maybe I could do a Vekoma Corkscrew or something. I don't know. Anyway, oops. Always, when you're building coasters, you might want to make sure they're not too close to other coasters. So I'm just going to move this over to about, I say here. I'm going to do that. So I have a really cool idea for a layout, and I'll show you what it is. So in this tutorial, we're just going to be going over the very basics of making an invert coaster, and it's not actually too difficult. It's basically a lot like a regular coaster, it's just flipped upside down. That's what an invert is anyway. So I'm going to set the heart line to be in the middle like that, so we can do some nice heart lining. That's another thing. If you're making an invert, I highly recommend you have a heart line value. Like that. You don't want to have no heart line, because that's when it starts to get very annoying with trying to make the shape look perfect. So I'm going to add 2 type separators for the station. And set the station type to station, and that fits almost perfectly, in fact. There we go. Perfect fit. So now I'm going to go ahead and let's start this layout. So usually this kind of coaster likes to be launched, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it do a curve, like using our knowledge of wooden coaster curves. Do that, and then I'm going to have a nice kind of long launch like that. This is also the tutorial where we're going to be covering launches and things like that. So we've got our launch track here, as you can see. But the problem is, right now it's just going to roll down there. We want it to actually launch on there. So what you want to do is you want to place 2 type separators, one at the beginning and one at the end of the launch. And then set the section type to transport. Now, what transport is basically just friction wheels. It's like a brake run, but just friction wheels or linear things. So I'm going to set this to linear motor LIM LSM. And we're going to set the speed to be quite fast. I'm going to make this 100 kilometers an hour. How about that? Just like that. And that should be good. So that's going to launch. By the time it reaches the end of this section, let's hope for it to go 100 miles an hour. Or 100 kilometers an hour for that. But actually, there's another issue. You see this acceleration value here? That means it's going to accelerate over half a G, so it won't be accelerating that fast. So we want to make sure that every time it's at its top speed. So let's change acceleration to about 1.5. There we go, like that. Now we should be good. So now it's going to be a lot like building this other layout, except we're going to learn a couple of new elements, like barrel rolls, and possibly like Immelmanns, but Immelmanns are just dive loops backwards. So let's go into the view where we can actually see the track. Yep, like that. And let's just start building a coaster. So I'm thinking that we're going to do an Immelmann. Actually, yes, we're going to do an Immelmann. So let's go do an Immelmann. So an Immelmann is basically just half a loop, just like this. And on that half loop, instead of completing the loop, what you do is you actually just kind of drag it out like that. Instead, you want to do kind of it's basically going into a dive loop the opposite way. So let's just add our roll values so we can Make sure that it's actually an inversion. Don't worry about all this track twisting, that will go away once we've actually finished the element. There we go, so let's just go into top view. Yeah, that track twisting will go away. It's just a slight issue, I don't know why it does it, but there we go, like that, and there. So that's going to be the exit of the Immelmann. So this should be quite easy as long as you apply the concepts of the last couple of tutorials to it. If you prefer to just not do that, then I recommend you do watch the other tutorials first, because there are a lot of things in this tutorial are going to be referencing the last couple of tutorials. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of turns, just using our concepts on the wooden coaster. Build a couple of turns. Maybe nice long turn like that. And then maybe we should use a sweeping drop here. How about that? Let's add a sweeping drop. Like when it comes to like inverts, basically the same thing as a regular coaster, except it's just suspended. And on inverts, I recommend that you don't use airtime hills, because usually inverts don't use airtime hills. The only time I've ever seen an invert use an airtime hill was on Dragon Challenge or Dueling Dragons at Islands of Adventure, and it looked kind of odd. I suppose that was a dueling coaster, so it was slightly different. But anyway, I'm going to build a turn like that. Maybe we could do a Cobra Roll. So same kind of concept as we did on the B&M coaster, like the sit down in the second tutorial, except we're going to be doing it on an invert, which is pretty much the exact same, except there might be a few different things. So we're using our handy depump tool again, and we want to make sure that the launch is flat again, so let's just make it flat using roll vertices. Yep. So this is basically just going to be an episode where I kind of show you a few extra things, because inverts, they're not too difficult. They're just like normal coasters, essentially. That definitely needs reshaping. Let's just depump that really quick. Yeah. So I think the next time I'm going to show you is how to do an inverted Cobra Roll, which is slightly different to a normal Cobra Roll. And there is also the barrel roll, which is slightly different to like the normal barrel roll, which I haven't shown you how to do yet. So here we go. Let's make this curve down, and let's go into our Cobra Roll. So let's go into the right view. Actually, the left view, because that's the view you can actually see things. So just modifying this curve so I can have a actual entrance. So it goes wee and then up, maybe slightly lower than the other. Yeah, you always want to make the elements lower than the last. So this is going to be slightly lower. Yeah, like that. And then again at a roll point. Actually, we'll just set that to 0 for now. And let's just start doing the same thing as we were doing for the last Cobra Roll on the last tutorial. So like that. There we go. Go into perspective mode, and let's drag and drop these points. Now, on inverted Cobra Rolls, they tend to be slightly different in the way that on inverted Cobra Rolls, they seem to have a bit more of a snap to them than the non-inverted Cobra Rolls. So just gonna set this to be the same. There we go, like that. Then let's turn it into the Cobra Roll shape. So yeah, and also inverted Cobra Rolls are usually not as you can see on here, this one kind of ducks down a lot. This inverted Cobra Rolls don't really do that. So the snap wants to be kind of closer to the top. Actually, it wants to be a bit further down like that. So I say around where it's maybe, I don't know, 130 degrees up is about a good point. And then no lateral on there. And then let's just rebuild the exit of the ride. Or exit of the loop, I mean. Let's go into left view so we can finish this up. So usually that's how it works. Let's just go into perspective view so we can add that last one. There, so you can see that it kind of is already at an angle by the time it gets to a certain point. And this will come in handy when you get to elements like the banana roll and butterfly loop, etc. So let's just depump this so we don't have horrible pumps everywhere. There we go, just like that. So you can see that it's much higher up. It doesn't go down nearly as much as non-inverted Cobra rolls. So what about if we tackle the barrel roll next? Let's do that. So maybe we should make it kind of go up a bit, and then I had a really cool idea for a place we could put this barrel roll. So we could go through there, and then this is where we're going to place the barrel roll. Now barrel rolls are usually completely straight, so make a straight line as if you're making a lift segment or something. That's what you want to do. So I was thinking this barrel roll could actually go through the loop of the Cobra roll and the other coaster. Yeah, if you had lots of intertwining, it actually kind of makes the coasters feel a lot more fun and unique. So if you make a park with like loads of coasters interlocking, it can get a bit hectic, but it could look really awesome. So this is how you do a barrel roll. Let's just quickly get everything nice and depumped before we start. Nah. Yeah, this is quite easy. If you succeeded in the last couple of tutorials, this should not be difficult at all. So there we go. So now let's start on our heartline / barrel roll. So, well, actually, a heartline roll is where it's on a heartline. So this is a heartline roll. So you want to make it flat, and then at the other end, you also want to make it flat. In the middle, you want to have 3 vertices in between. One where it's going to be upside down entirely, one where it's going to be 90 degrees, and one that's going to be 90 degrees. So just add the 90-degree rolls on either side, like you do with the other coasters, and then add 180. And there we go, look. It's a perfect heartline roll. And to test this, let's go into track, and let's ride it. So, here we go. Oh, that is not straight. Yep, so I'm going to introduce you guys the Make Straight tool. I don't know if I've already done it before, but anyway, we're going to go over the Make Straight tool again because it's so useful in so many different ways. So I'm going to select all the vertices I want to make straight, and I'm going to click Make Straight 2D. And what that'll do is it'll make the vertices straight in 2 dimensions, not the vertical one. So it will still be kind of straight. There we go, like that. And then I'll extend the launch a bit. So let's ride the track again. So it goes wee. Oh, bit of twisting there, I can see. Let's just fix that. We don't want any twisting anywhere. So we go over the top and out of the Immelmann. We go around this corner. We go down. We go up into the Cobra Roll. Whoops, there's a bit of unnecessary twisting there. Let's try and fix that. There we go. We go up. That seems to be a bit extreme on that banking. Always ride your coasters to find out and see if your coaster seems to be smooth. So there we go. There's our heartline roll. It's like, whee! You can see that it's perfectly heartlined. Now, just to demonstrate to you what happens if you don't use the heartline tool, this is what it would look like. You ready? Yeah, that's not a heartline roll. That's a barrel roll, and you do not want a barrel roll. There, that's what it should look like. A nice, even heartline roll. So, let's just finish this layout then. I'm actually going to make this bank to the other direction. So depending, if you want it to bank a specific direction, all you have to do is rotate the vertices in a specific direction. There we go. So it's going to go that way. So now I can do a nice turn around here and it won't have a jagged transition. So I'm going to make it so it kind of goes down to the level of this vertex here. And yeah, so we've covered 2 elements. Inverted Cobra Roll, actually 3 elements if you count the Immelmann. So let's just go like that, maybe add a couple of turns. Actually, we can make a corkscrew there. Yeah, I'll show you how to do an inverted corkscrew. There's a slightly different way of doing an inverted corkscrew as well, so then I can maybe just go like that, turn, do another heartline roll there, and then make a turn and hit the brakes. Yep, that seems like a pretty decent layout. Let's just do that. Okay, so let's do an inverted corkscrew after we've just fixed these curves and everything, because that looks really odd. Yep, if you hear a lot of background noise, it's because I don't really have an explanation. Anyway, that's it. So we go up. That's gonna be the entrance to our corkscrew. So we want to add the roll vertices so we don't get all in a mess like that. Roll, roll, roll. Just keep rolling and rolling and rolling. Yep, and there we go. So it's kind of like building a normal corkscrew, except for maybe just a tiny bit modified. If my mic suddenly does cut out, yell at me. Don't actually yell at me because you'll be yelling at a computer screen because I am not in the room with you. Yeah, so you want to make the same general corkscrew shape as we were doing in the last tutorial for not the last one, the tutorial for like the other corkscrew, except for we want to add more of a snap to the top. Whoops, that's banking the wrong way. Want to bank outwards, never want to bank inwards because that would hurt. There, go like that. So you want to place these kind of near the top, so you kind of get this like twist. You kind of want, yeah, that's the kind of shape you want. You want a shape which has a twist to it. Literally. So you want it to kind of have a nice, so it wants to be sharper at the top than it is at the bottom. So then the exit will be completely flat. So let's just do a test ride. So it goes wee. We'll depump that in a bit. So it goes up and then around this corkscrew it should go. Yeah, so it has a twist. See, kind of snaps over the top, and that's that. So let's depump that corner. Actually, that vertex is a bit close. Let's do that, and I'll depump that lot. Now, supporting inverted coasters is slightly different, so I'll show you guys that too. So basically, if you're good with making a normal coaster like the sit down, you'll be fine with making an invert. But I'm thinking maybe we should tackle something a bit more advanced next time, like very advanced, like a big step up, maybe the suspended swinging, or even the 4-dimensional or spinning coaster. But yet again, entirely up to you guys. So always don't be afraid to leave a comment. Like, if you have any help, I'll be more than happy to help you. Not any help. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. So let's just go back on this corkscrew and see how the transition is now. So it goes up and around. Just going to lower that actually. Make it slightly over. So there we go. So it kind of has a nice snap over the top like that. And you should notice there should be no bumps in your coaster. If there are any bumps, that's usually not good. It usually means there's a rough section on the ride, and that could cause pain to riders, and you don't want to do that because you're meant to encourage people to ride the rides, not scare them off. Anyway, let's see. So let's add one more barrel roll. Let's see if you guys can do one more barrel roll. Come on. Who doesn't love a good old barrel roll? There we go. Like that. 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. Let's add. I'm gonna make it go. Let's go this way. There we go, and then this should be going that way. There we go. Now, you want to make sure they're mostly even spacing. If they're not so even, like evenly placed, you may get some pumping, and that's not what you want. So here we go. That's the end of the. Yeah, so we want that to be flat, and see, do that, and that should be the brake run right there. So just going to check and see how that banking is. So we want to ride, go wee, do one last corkscrew or barrel roll, and then we kind of roll in. Maybe that's a bit too early. There we go, and that'll be fine. Just like that. There we go. No lateral forces. And then we just hit the brakes and we're done. Whee! You finished your first inverter coaster. Hopefully, if you didn't pass out and die from some odd and rare Nolimits to, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever thing. which I hope you didn't, because that would be sad. Yeah, I think personally Nolimits 2 has been a massive improvement on Nolimits 1, because imagine you couldn't do this. You couldn't put more than one coaster in a park in Nolimits 1. No. Yeah, but you can see, here we go. So we've got our nice little coaster. It has a heartline roll. It has a corkscrew, an Immelmann, a thing, and yeah, a thing. Yeah, this coaster has a thing. I know you're like, wow, I haven't seen a coaster with a thing in ages. Yeah, this coaster has a thing. Impressive, huh? Yeah, so we're going to make this a brake run, of course. We don't want to kill the riders. But that and that. Select and modify, section type. Set it to brake. But usually these coasters have magnetic brakes, so we're going to select magnetic brake, naval transport, and we're going to have magnetic transport as well, so we don't have any issues. There we go. This will be transport as well. Just set that to transport, but don't set it to like 3 bajillion miles an hour, otherwise you'll have lots of trouble. There we go. So I'm going to set this section here to transport as well. So it will transport into the launch and then go. Okay, so let's save that, and let's just do a quick freeze. Oh, I just realised something. I made the station actually lift segment. My bad. Let's just fix that. Yep. Always check before you release a coaster, because you might have made a station a lift. Anyway, let's save that. And now let's freeze it. So we've made our first inverted coaster. We've made a wooden coaster, we've made a steel coaster. So entirely up to you what we make next. In this tutorial series. Okay, let's see if everything turned out nicely. Yeah, let's get in this. Here we go. Got transport segments. I recommend you change that to friction wheels on the transport there, which I'm gonna do. Alright, let's go. Here we go. Whee! Oh wow, that's perfect speed. Yeah, you'll notice sometimes it may be going too slow or too fast. Just depends on which kind of pacing you want. So let's see, it goes into the Cobra Roll and it clears it. And over here, let's see if this heartline roll is smooth. That was fine. Let's go and let's test out this corkscrew. That's fine. Let's go around, let's do another heartline roll. And then we hit the brakes. Ah! That was actually quite a nice little intense ride. I think it kind of fits. Maybe we should change the colours up a bit. A bit dull right now. Anyway. That shows how to make an invert. Now, supporting an invert is slightly different to a other one in the fact that you just use different type of supports. Yeah, so go to prefab and on this type. So on a Immelmann invert, I recommend you use a suspended double, and that's because it matches the real life Immelmann supports on the launch, like this. So usually Immelmanns have A frame, like a kind of U frame, as I call this, on the launch. So that, maybe like that, there. So this is basically going to be kind of like our A-frame on the other coaster. So you want to use this basically wherever there's a heartline roll, on the exits of the heartline roll. Wherever there's a brake run or a transport segment, you want to use it. But this only applies to Immelmann inverts. On B&M inverts, I recommend you use the B&M style supports, which are currently in the game. Just another support type, so just adding these in. So add one there. Oh yeah, also, I think I'll show you one other thing today, which is tunnel testing. And that is very, very, very important. And that's to make sure that the coaster will clear the course without hitting any supports, because that really hurts. Okay, prefab panel. Now let's just use this twisted 90-degree banked outwards for the turns. Like that, just add them in. Then whee, like that, through this corkscrew. And through the heartline roll. Add one there, add one there. And we're going to add a vertical one for that. Actually, let's just add one like that. No, that doesn't look good. So, yeah, just support the coaster as you would with a normal one, but just imagine that, like, imagine a real invert, and then kind of think of the supports that one would use, and then use those kind of supports on this coaster, or the coaster that you are making, because I highly doubt you're making this exact coaster. Well, you might be, but who knows? Yeah, so you can see here, if I place a support there, it's going to go through the track, and we don't want that. So I'm not going to place one there, I'm going to choose a different style of support for that, so add those there. Title testing doesn't take long either, so this shouldn't be a lengthy episode, hopefully. I don't know how long it's been running for. I want to add one that's not actually interlocking with that there. That should be fine. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now let's just choose our final support types. Let's just go, and I'll use this one for one or two of them, like here and here. And oh yeah, I've gotta do the looping supports. Twisted single, I'll just use that for that. Choose pretty fat. Now for the loops, I'm just going to use this twisted arc, which you should use instead of these ones, like the ones we used on the launch on B&M coasters. Now that's going to hit the wooden coaster, so we kind of want it to go out of the bounds of that. There we go. That'll be fine. Yep. So you want to usually add as many supports as you can, but not too many supports. There's a difference to having a supported coaster and an overly supported coaster. So, like, add ones basically where you think the stress would be the greatest on the ride. So that goes around there. Got support, it's fine. I'll just support this part here. One there, one there, one there, one there. That's good. And add a couple on this final turn, and then we'll call it done. Whee! Like, yeah, this wasn't really much of a tutorial as it was a let's build, but you get the idea. This showed you how to build a heartline roll, inverted corkscrew, and a inverted Cobra Roll. So that should be pretty much it. Let's just color the track, and then we'll call it a day. Set 2 trains. Colors. What will go well with the other coaster? I'd say maybe yellow track. Inspired by King's Dominion right now. Yeah, and let's set the car maybe. I'll set it to red. Seat black or kind of grey, maybe dark grey. Harness I'll set to red. Bogie I'll set to that kind of colour. Chassis I'll set to that kind of colour. Now for the supports, let's say dark blue. Okay. File, save, and then let's freeze it, and that will probably be it. Now, as you may have also noticed, that I actually added some trees around the wooden coaster, and I did that just to make it blend in with the other coaster. That blue's a bit bright. Let's fix that. Just make it kind of paley blue like that. There we go, make it kind of dark. There we go. I know, kind of V2 colours here, but who cares? I don't know what it is with the 6 flags. They call their coasters like V and X. Like what next? M? L? A? X? Oh, I don't know. They already have X. Well, they had X and then they turned it to X2 because it's so original. Anyway. Oh! Just forgot to support half the coaster. Besides, should be good. Come on. I can move on. Oh. Something is wrong, I guess. Did I forget something? Because the coaster's not dispatching. Usually if the coaster's not dispatching, that's not a good thing. Something's usually wrong. Well, it wasn't dispatching. I don't know. Maybe I had it on pause. I don't know. Anyway, let's just, while we're in the editor, let's just quickly add a support. Or 2, because we forgot. Well, I forgot. I don't know if you forgot. If you didn't forget, congratulations. Just use this. Add prefab. Fits perfectly, actually. Very nice. File save. Let's just test it without actually freezing it. So now it should dispatch. Come on. You gonna dispatch? Come on. Chop chop. Come on. Make it move on. Maybe something's wrong. Ah, I think I know what's wrong. There's no free block. You gotta always, if you have 2 trains, you need 3 blocks. If you have 3 trains, you need 4 blocks, etc., etc., etc. So let's just add a second block. I'll make this into a block. I'll say track section type break, and that's a break segment. I'll just enable transport, and that should be good. Go file, save, and now let's freeze it, and it should all work. Yep, so remember that, keep that in mind. And Nolimits, it does register blocks, so you need, for every train, you need at least 2 blocks for 1 train. So never mind, you don't need 2 blocks. What you need is basically you need at least 1, for every train, for the train number you have, just add 1 to it, and that'll be good. That's your coaster. Okay, let's save that, leave editor, and let's ride this baby. Kind of like how it goes through that part there. Should be a screenshot. Oh yeah, some of you. Oh, that's not gonna work. Let's just quickly change that. Yep, delay after delay, but it's good that we're delaying because we don't want to release a cheap coaster. We want to release a good coaster. Not special track, prefab. Just add a corkscrew single. That'll be fine. There we go. Add prefab, just put it there and there, that'll be fine. File, save, file, leave editor. No, I forgot to freeze it. Yep, this is being very unorganized, sorry, but there we go. Hopefully it should be good now. We've got a nice looking coaster, which I might change, may or may not change the colours of, because, yeah, it's never too late to change the colours. Just saying that now, because sometimes you might make a pink with lime green and it will look hideous, but, yeah, this will probably be concluding the episode, this POV. Remember, never be afraid to ask what you want in the next episode. Go. Oh. Okay, and enjoy. And there we go. Hope you enjoyed it and have a wonderful time. Always ask what you want to see in the next episode and don't be afraid, so have a wonderful day. But before I go, if you have the pro version, O is to record video and L is to capture screenshot. I've got to research into that a bit more, so if you really want to understand what all the keybinds are, press escape, go to setup, and then there's a list of controls. But for now, this is the episode, and